Bonjour classe. Aujourd'hui, on va parler du chapitre 5.3. Dans chapitre 5.3, on va parler de inquiring about and expressing likes and dislikes, and then paying a check as well. D'accord, on va commencer. So we're going to stick with our food vocabulary, and now we're going to talk about expressing how we like or we dislike certain foods. So we learned this first expression. This is at the top of your note sheet. We learned this first expression in chapter 3, chapitre 3. Désolé, chapitre 3. Répétez-moi, s'il vous plaît. Comment tu trouves ça? All right, and then we have another one, and it expresses the same idea. However, this is a little bit more formal. So this is when the server is going to be talking to the customer at the restaurant. Répétez-moi, comment vous trouvez ça? All right, let's go on to our ways to say that you like a food or drink. All of these expressions start with our word say, which means it is. It is. Répétez-moi, c'est bon. C'est excellent. C'est délicieux. C'est pas mauvais. Let's move on to our ones that are not so good. Again, these all start with the word say as well. Répétez-moi, c'est pas bon. C'est pas terrible. C'est dégoûtant. C'est mauvais. All right, we're going to skip around in your notes a little bit. Go down to the bottom of your page. It says culture. This is Roman numeral 1. French speakers have a tendency to use negative understatement, what they call in French la litote. For example, if the food were bad, they might say c'est pas terrible, which we just learned. It's not so great. Similarly, rather than saying something is good, they would say c'est pas mauvais, which we just learned. It's not bad. Now, this might be a little bit confusing for some of you to wrap your heads around, so I gave you some examples in English here. The litote, this negative understatement. In English, it's not bad. What we're actually trying to get across, what we're meaning is it's good. Another example, the litote, he's not ugly. What we're actually trying to get across, he's good looking. Another example, the litote, you are not wrong. What we're actually trying to get across, you are right. The litote, she's no ordinary girl. What we're actually trying to get across, she's special. And then lastly, the litote, I'm not unfamiliar with poetry. What I'm actually trying to get across, I know a lot about poetry. All right, skipping around a little bit, going back up to that middle section of your notes, asking for the check, a server's response to a request, asking how much something is, and then answering cost questions. D'accord, on va commencer. Répétez-moi l'addition, s'il vous plaît. We had in chapter 5.2, la carte, s'il vous plaît. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire, la carte, s'il vous plaît? If you said the menu, please, you're exactly right. So in 5.2, we asked for the menu. Now in 5.3, we're asking for the check. L'addition, s'il vous plaît. And if this helps you think about it, think of your check as the sum of everything that you ordered. You're adding everything that you ordered all together, as in addition. D'accord. Let me move myself out of the way for a second. Répétez-moi, oui, tout de suite. All right, we have two ways to ask how much something is. Répétez-moi, c'est combien? Ça fait combien? The server may say, un moment, s'il vous plaît. Répétez-moi, un moment, s'il vous plaît. All right, and then the server may say, say blank, echo, blank. Remember that we put our number, we say or safe, our number of euros, then the word euros, and then the number of change, the coins. For example, say 5 € 50. It's 5.50. Ça fait 5 € 50. It's 5.50. Remember that combien appears a question word meaning how much or how many, so we don't need to repeat it when giving our answer. C'est 5 € 50. Ça fait 5 € 50. All right, and then you may ask, le service est compris? Le service est compris? Is the tip included? All right, again, skipping around, going back down to Roman numeral number 2 in your notes under the culture section. We're going to talk about tipping. So first, to give you some information about tipping here in the United States. Aux États-Unis, in the United States, tipping waiters is generally expected when dining out. In fact, companies can pay you less if you are a tipped position. As of 2022, the minimum wage for an hourly, non-tipped worker in Ohio is $9.30 per hour. For tipped workers, it is $4.65 per hour. So if you are something like a waitress or a waiter or a DoorDash driver or a pizza delivery person, those are considered tipped positions. The companies hire you expecting you to make tips based on our society and our culture because we tip those people. So their minimum wage is a lot lower because that company is expecting you to make up this gap in tips. At a restaurant, a common tip, if you're dealing with like a server, or if you are getting DoorDash or Uber Eats, or if you're getting a pizza from Papa John's, we tip those people. So a common tip is usually 15 to 20% of your bill. D'accord. En français, le pourboire or le service, either one. While tipping is rare in France, there are still rules to tipping. At a cafe, it is considered to give your change to the server. And at restaurants, tipping is usually included in the bill and known as service compris, which we just talked about. But leaving 5 to 10% of your bill is okay for extraordinarily great service. All right, tournez la page, s'il vous plaît. It looks something like this if you're taking notes with me. We're going to talk about some different places around Paris. Les lieux autour de Paris. Donc, numéro 1, l'Arc de Triomphe. Located in the 8e arrondissement, that little E is, if we were to write A and then T8 and then TH, that TH in French is just an E, 8e. Located in the 8e arrondissement on La Place de Toile, the Place of the Star, 12 roads coming from the Arc, including l'Avenue des Champs-Élysées, which we just talked about in 5.2. Excuse me. Construction began on 15 août 1806, and it opened on 29 juillet 1836. All right. Numéro 2, Montmartre. This area is in the 18e arrondissement, and it includes a large hill in the surrounding area. A couple of notable places. We have Sacré-Cœur, which is a large Catholic church atop of a hill. Here you go. And then we have La Place du Théâtre, which is a plaza with local artists and cafes. Here's some more of La Place du Théâtre. And again, this is a plaza with artists. They sell you can sit down and they can draw you a portrait of yourself if you pay, and lots of cool art there. Décor numéro 3, Place de la Concorde. It's famous for the Luxor obelisk. If you don't know what an obelisk is, it's one of these things, like a big pillar. It is a 3,300-year-old obelisk, a gift from Egypt. It was created in 1772. It was originally known for being an execution site during the French Revolution. Louis XVI, and Marie Antoinette, among others, were guillotined here. All right, our next one, we have the Louvre. This is the biggest art museum in the world. It began as a fortress for the king in the 12th century. Then, in 1546, it was turned into a palace for the king. Next, in 1682, the king moved his residence to the Palace of Versailles, which we're going to talk about. Finally, in 1793, the Louvre opened to the public as an art museum. Today, it holds priceless works of art, such as the Mona Lisa, Liberty Leading the People, and the Virgin and Child with St. John the Baptist. Take a look at those pieces of art. Here they are for you. So we all know the Mona Lisa, but then this is Liberty Leading the People, famous during the French Revolution. And then we have the Virgin and Child with St. John the Baptist right here. Very, very, very famous works of art. All right, the next one, which I'm sure everybody knows of, we have La Tour Eiffel. La Tour Eiffel has serious celeb status. Completed in March, 1889. It's one of the most recognizable monuments in the world. And the site, which is also known as the Iron Lady, receives nearly 7 million tourists a year. Even during the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020, it was one of the most visited places in the world. Next, we have Notre Dame, which we talked a little bit about in the previous étape. This is again on Ile de la Cité. Excusez-moi. Oh, we were supposed to turn our page. Couple after Eiffel Tower, tournez la page, before Eiffel Tower, tournez la page, s'il vous plaît. Next, we have Notre Dame. It is located in the 4e arrondissement. It is a Roman Gothic cathedral built in the 12th century, and it took 300 years to complete. To visit, you must be dressed properly and be quiet. This is a church, so you have to be respectful. This is a church that had a massive fire breakout on le 15 avril 2019. It is currently undergoing a restoration. So down here you can see the fire breaking out. This is what it looked like beforehand, but this is the fire. Numéro 7, Versailles. This construction began as a hunting lodge by Louis XIII on 1623. It was enlarged into a royal palace by Louis XIV in 1682. It's about 12 miles away from Paris. So this was all before the French Revolution, if you're a history buff, and Louis XIV is known as Le Roi Soleil, the Sun King. He thought that he was basically untouchable as the king. he thought that everyone and everybody had to serve him. Everybody else could live in poverty as long as he was doing fine. That's all that mattered. So he enlarged this hunting lodge into this grand, opulent royal palace, gold fountains, lots of ornate details. I mean, the definition of opulence here, and this is really what catapulted France into the French Revolution. That people were not happy with their government, with Louis XIV. Just if you're a history buff, you don't need to know that. All right, again, looking at Versailles, obviously very ornate, very detailed, a very expensive place to construct. All right, a numero 8. Arrête, c'est ici l'Empire de la Mort. Stop. Here is the Dead Empire, or the Empire of the Dead. All right, numero 8, we have Les Catacombes de Paris. The catacombs of Paris are underground ossuaries. If you don't know what an ossuary is, it is a place where you keep bones. So, it is in Paris, France, which holds the remain of more than 6 million people. You can enter in the 4e arrondissement, where you are only allowed to see a little bit of close to 1 mile legally. And that's part of a guided tour. So you enter in the 4e arrondissement, and you can see about a mile of this ossuary. And that's part of a guided tour. The rest is off limits to everybody. Nobody's allowed down there. All right, and that's all that I have for you today. I hope this video lesson helped you. Au revoir, à bientôt.